Hello, genealogist. It's Craig with Just Genealogy. And I wanted to talk some more about organizing because I realized the last time I talked about organizing, all I really did was talk about surnames and people. And there's some records that probably it's not really a good idea just to throw them in a file folder. Some records require archival help and definitely don't need to be put in document protectors. That's not my definition of archival help. And what I'm thinking of among the things I want to talk about today are one of the things you're going to have to do is separate things because you're going to have to deal with things that deal with specific people. And then there are other things like photos. You don't want to stick photos in among papers because they'll stick to the papers. And then there are things like locality information, different kinds of record type information, information about record types, subjects, different kinds of subjects, like railroad is an example, that aren't people. So I have files that are by state, by county, by town. Not very many town things, but usually I just put them in the county until the county gets too big. So that it may have, in the old days, it may have a map of the state. When I was a kid, we had lots of maps. We didn't have GPS. It may be when I go to a roadside stop, a state welcome center, I may pick up some flyers from there of things I might want to look at in the future or information that I need, where to contact somebody, something like that. And when I'm done dealing with it, I usually don't pitch it. I usually put it in a file for that state or that county or whatever it might be, or even that topic if it was something that was more topic related than it was location related. So you need to also create not only files for people and files for records, but you need to create some topic files that can be, and some locality files. Sometimes, not all the time, but if there's a place that I haven't been in a while, but I know that I've been at before, I might pull my locality file up to see what I have to say, to see what I've said before, to get me oriented. Sometimes it helps, sometimes it doesn't, but I always take that opportunity if I can. We're dealing with several kinds of files. We're dealing with files about individuals. We're dealing with files about family groups, and we're dealing with files about surnames, and those pretty much are very closely related to each other. But the files that deal with locality, information about record types, depositories, in other words, every time, if you've got something that you learn is in the vertical file in a library somewhere that you think might be of use to you in the future, you would want to put that somewhere. You would want to store it somewhere. And then there's, of course, subject files. So recognize that you're going to also probably create these kind of files also. So this means that, and I think the one piece that you might be missing, although I did mention it the last time I talked about this, because I talk about 5-drawer file cabinets, I talk about banker boxes, but I think I should talk about this word containerize. I have some movable files that I can take with me to a place. Some of my family surnames are contained totally in a single movable file. Poitras is a good example of a single movable file that I have. And largely because I have the research from other people in it in the form of family group sheets that were shared and that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of stuff in this mobile filing system that has nothing to do with my Poitras family. So it doesn't belong in my Poitras family files, but they are unique to the surname Poitras. They're family group sheets of other Poitras families that don't seem to connect to mine yet. So those are the kind of things that you want to deal with. Now, I find that locality, record type, and subject files are either best dealt geographically, in other words, state, county, or they're dealt with alphabetically. So I have several file drawers full of things like researching German ancestors or German migration or someone's view on bounty land, those kind of things. This is where I put handouts from other discussions. And if I'm entering into a new relationship with a type of record, I might pull that file and have a look at it and see if there's something that I'm missing or something that I need or something that provides me with a better understanding of how to use the records. Because the goal of everything is to be effective, but also efficient. So being efficient is what your record system is all about. And I want to remind you that a good system has to be kept up with. That if you have piles of things laying around that need to be filed, and trust me, I do, then you have a problem. And trust me, I have more than one problem. So if files are laying, the fact that the file that I showed you last week had been sitting on my desk for 2 weeks is an issue. You need to ensure that the piles that you have are not full of genealogical material. Because before you have an organized record system, piles is where you're going to store genealogical material. And as you can tell, looking behind me, I have lots of piles. And it's just a function of eventually they move around and eventually they get taken care of. And that's just how it is. So again, you want to create a filing system that is easy for you to use, that you can quickly retrieve something and just as quickly be able to put it back. So that's really all I have for you today. I wanted to make sure that I didn't just focus on organizing names alone, but recognize that there are topics in geography and those kind of things that you're also going to want to have organized. Now, some people might say, well, why aren't you just scanning all this stuff? And one of my problems is I have 12 terabytes of data on my computer. And one of the reasons I have 12 terabytes of data on my computer is because I may have 12 copies of the same thing. So you have to create this sorting process as you're going through what you have to decide what you've got. And part of this sorting process is getting things in the right folder, separating the photos out and storing those appropriately. And the other thing is to get rid of duplicates. I tried to impress upon you the last time that because you have 10 names on a document doesn't mean you have to have 10 copies of it in the files. You only need a single copy of it in a record file, in a document file that you can access, so if you have to look at it, you can do it. So the other thing that you're going to want to do is you're going to want to sort through everything, put the things in the appropriate folder. I always have a stack of folders that are available to me so that I can create a folder automatically. It's just part of the process. I don't have to hunt for blank folders. I don't use brand new folders. I use old folders because I have lots of reasons to use folders, and I use old ones and I just write over them and do them that way. But you need to sort everything. Just as when you're dealing with a Revolutionary War pension or a Civil War pension, you have to take that pension and sort it between the soldier and the widow and possibly the minor children, and then put them in order and those kind of things. So sort, organize, get rid of duplicates, and make sure you don't have any photos stuck between those pieces of paper in those folders. I haven't talked about photo preservation. It's really not my thing. I'm not real good at it. I don't have that many photos. Usually what I do in regards to photos is I scan them, and they're in my photo library, which has hundreds of thousands of pictures, and I never can find anything. So that's going to have to be organized. Also, the worst thing that exists in my computer is something called screenshot with a date. You have to love it. This is Craig. This has been Just Genealogy, yet talking about organization one more time, not necessarily about people, but about topics and localities and other kinds of things. Hope you enjoyed it. See you tomorrow.